That's very polite. I
Yes,
like that.
yes. We're polite tonight.
Yeah, we're gonna be polite tonight. So
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna say sir and thank you after and before each sentence.
May I speak? Raise your hand.
Yeah, later. Before we go any further, I want to apologize for our video last week. Not the content, but the technical with the camera. We've discovered that Google engineers some, what do they call it? Planned obsolescence. Is that the term, Scott?
Sounds like it.
Yeah, when you buy something, you can guarantee it's only good for about 18 months, and you got to buy another one. So we got a new set of stuff coming in. So we're going to do this, and we don't have all the bells and whistles with the videos, but
We'll get back up to.
yeah, we'll get it back.
Thank you,
up.
Google. We love you.
Yeah. But,
So,
what you got?
dogs.
Kick off dogs.
How do you start training dogs? Section work.
Takes more.
Do it all the time. You gotta start somewhere, right?
Yep.
We need some lights.
Used to be you always started at about a year old.
Mm-hmm.
Then they slip back to where they're starting at 9 months, 10 months old. So she's
I'm sorry, earlier than that? You start earlier than that?
Well, in the guard dog business and working for customers, I always just work with adult dogs. But since we started the Western Shepherd program and we started working with pups, I started just thinking, you send your kids to karate class when they're 10 years old, right? Maybe you can do that with dogs. So we started working with pups like Bits, my little girl, and we pretty well. You can actually start them. I like to say that one of my pups at 6 months of age can pass a USPCA patrol dogs certification. We can teach them everything they need to know. So,
Actually, the pure basics of it is starting a dog to learn how to, the whole entrailing to bite work and prey drive and building all that in confidence, but showing them what it takes to get there. And flirt pulling them, and you start recognizing characteristics, and you start working with that when the dog is younger and fine tune those characteristics. Get them to bite on the flirt pull. If they're going to damn total avoidance.
yep. Build their confidence with it.
Some dogs will come right out and they're naturals.
Yep.
But you're not going in there and doing these sends and they're still growing. Their dogs are still growing, not developed yet. Their teeth ain't ready yet. So
Gotta be careful.
It's just a building block, I should say. So when you get to 6, 7 months old, they're ready to rip.
Yeah.
And then you can actually add more into it, intensity, and you'll get a better dog. Because what do you say? They'll learn the most in the first 8 weeks of their life.
The first, their brain is open to every sight, sound, and stimulus, and sucking it up, never to be forgotten. In the first, with a shepherd-sized dog, you have a 6-month window, 8 weeks to 24 weeks.
So you're working in your obedience and you're teaching your dog all its commands. Get your leash training in. You're actually doing your obedience and your bite work going in hand. So flirt pull could be or a tug. You can bite work with it, or I shouldn't say bite work. Starting off, that could be like we talked about last week. Make it fun.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, that's what they consider fun.
And they never forget it.
And the basics are down. They learn their what do you call it? Their drew a blank. Their so when dog goes to bite, doesn't know how to bite. He uses legs. They learn how to do it right.
Fighting style.
Well, no, but they get their God dang it! What's that when you get your equilibrium? Like your equilibrium.
Oh, okay. Yes.
They're judging their distances
right.
and they're learning that earlier.
Coordination.
So when you get a dog that's more mature, they've already figured all that out. And they're fine tuning that, and they're recognizing. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I think.
And there's a lot of things I've never seen spoken to or anyone mentioned. we send dogs down the field and they go and they bite something. Well, you know, if you think about it, as they're going, and there's a rather well-known video of a bulldog that tries to eat my head, and it's running in slow motion. It was the first time I appreciated what dogs have to do, even on that scent. When they're going for their target, they've got to launch in the air if they're going upstairs. They've got to run, launch, and then they've got to time how wide they open their mouth to hit just at the right time. Because if they're just starting to open their mouth when they hit the target, obviously that ain't going to work. If they've got it wide open and they've already got started closing it, that ain't. So there's a lot of eye-mouth coordination. There's a lot of timing.
Coordination.
Coordination, yeah. So these are all the things what Scott and I have discovered. We started working these young dogs. Scott especially is just great with pups, with a flirt pole. He can, I mean, he pulls it out of every dog. And as he said last week, we mentioned the original and still the most successful training system technique in the world, in the wild, is play.
Play. I got to speak to that.
That's it. And, you know, juveniles learn how to tussle. They learn how to chase a lizard and a butterfly and all these things. And Scott's very good at acting like a juvenile, so he's good with the puppies.
That's true.
And look, I got that one away from him.
Yep.
So you can actually, as he said, when you start those pups that young, and you put the commands and to the behavior, to the action that they're doing, you can. Well, so much for my soundproofing foam I put up. you can train them. My Bits, my current partner, Black Bart daughter, of course, at what, 4 or 5 months old was the first time she was.
Yeah, first time we took her out, so 3.5, 4 months old. Shot the flirt pole out. I said, oh, okay. Did a round of that, 1 round. And she's already lit up. She already had it, she figured it out. I said, well, let's go in there and try the burlap sack. So I look in that sack and, okay, no hesitation whatsoever. It's all right. So put her up and said, hey man, you shouldn't do this, but try to sleep. It's okay, let's try to sleep. Went up there and agitated the dog and got in there and popped the sleeve. She hit the sleep. And good bite, deep bite. She was automatic, she was pulling, she was doing all that good stuff. And it's okay. Butch, send her. Was what? I said, just
Yeah, I was a little nervous about
I said,
that
just
one.
send her. And she sent her all right. And she came right in and hit the pocket and pushed into the bite, and you know, and it was just wonderful. She, right up in one session.
Yep.
Well, one morning. Let's just say that, okay? Or most dogs, a flirt pole, depending on the dog, it could be weeks, it could be a month. It all depends on the dog. And that's how you gauge that. But she was automatic. And she has a lot of bark in her, so that's.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was she just took to it. So. And we get those once in a while. Whoops. We get quite a few out of the Western Shepherds, though, that do come out strong like that.
Right, right.
It's not anything that anybody's done or held them back. It's just in them.
They're in there.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, genetics play a big part. We all know that. The bigger part is the trainer knowing how to bring it out of the dog.
Yep.
But when you get, let's face it, you could do the same thing with probably 7 out of 10 Malinois, 7 out of 10 Dutch Shepherds, 2 out of 10 Bulldogs. No, don't, Derek, don't get mad at me. We don't realize how capable young dogs are, and the beauty of it is, if you know how to manipulate their drives, they can't resist. They can't resist.
It's got to cherry pick them.
Yeah.
That and the flirt pole, it's a tool, but it's also you're playing. It's play. The dogs look at it, the puppies look at it as play. Ooh, I'm gonna catch that.
Yeah.
Where'd it go?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you start building that, and they start building that connection. And before you know it, You know, and the biggest thing with a floater pole for me is floater pole keeps distance. So it actually is a tool like a rabbit,
Yep.
but it's keeping distance to build confidence in that dog where you're not over top of that puppy and trying to rag over him, whatever. So
Right.
you're actually building something where you can actually close that gap. But to me, the dog is comfortable, the dog's having fun, and the dog wins. That's it.
Yep. And it's all a confidence builder. You can take these pups winning these games. Scott and I had this conversation a little earlier today, in fact. Very few people I've met in the dog business understand that dogs, like people, like horses, they want to win, especially if you raise them right with challenges that they can overcome. It's a competition. Scott was talking about Aries. He likes to crush milk bottles, and Scott plays
Milk jug. So
milk jugs. So what is,
he goes ahead and I give him milk jugs, empty milk jugs, pull the cap off, pull the ring off, and he just likes to chew on them. And they're big enough for him to carry around. So I come home from work. It's a ritual. You know, I'll get comfortable. I get in my computer and start doing something. And I get in my chair, and he'll walk over and have that milk jug in his mouth and go, "Hey." So I grab it, and he starts tugging. He pulls it, and I let him win. Well, the second time he comes right back. So I got to move my chair away from my desk onto the floor, and I'll grab it with both hands. And he grabs it, and he starts pulling. And he's talking to me, and he pulls me across the room, into the hallway, towards the kitchen. Now let him win. Then I go put the chair back in the room. He comes back again, and he hits with his paw, and we do it again 3 or 4 times. And the fourth time, I can tell when he's ready to win because he doesn't pull. He gets it and yanks it really hard. I can't hold it. The damn milk jug, it's all bit up and cut my fingers, right? So he'll take it, I'll hold it, and he'll pull it out, and he'll shake it, and he'll prance around, and he'll throw it up in the air, and he'll lay down somewhere. But he just wants to win.
Yep.
He won. He showed me his trophy. Now he's going to go lay down. And he don't give a shit about that milk jug. He wants to pull it out of my hand. He wants to beat me.
Yep.
It's
It's
how he is.
And it's a predator's nature to be a winner.
Yep.
And so you build them up that way. And this is, I would like to touch on one thing. It was very, very popular through the 90s and up to about 2010. I haven't heard a lot of people say this since then. But there's a belief among some people, especially like I'm raising guard dogs. And one of the beliefs is don't let anybody else touch your dog. Don't let nobody pet your dog. Keep your dog away from people. You don't want him to love or like nobody but you. And that is the absolute worst thing you can do.
You mean junkyard dog?
Yeah.
You don't want a junkyard dog.
No, you don't want a junkyard dog.
Dog needs to be social.
You also get a junkyard dog's a fear biter, folks.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And these dogs are uncontrollable. They are scared of everything that moves. If given a choice between fight or flight, they're going to choose flight every time.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have any confidential building prey drive. They're always working in defense, which means flight is always an option. And you don't need a dog with flight as one of his options if some idiot's kicking your front door in, fixing to take your TV set. And, you want a dog who's going to stand up. So you've got to get your pups out. You've got to get them out in the world. You've got to get remember, in defense, flight is an option. Unless you got a white Western Shepherd, they don't do flight no matter what. They don't. But since that flight's always an option, you want to control that. And the way you control that is by building up their confidence to such a level that they don't even have to think about flight. It's always automatic for the fight. When you start working a pup at 14, 16, 18 weeks old, in a fighting situation, even though it's play mode, that's what Scott did with Aries. And now, when he gets in a fight, there's nothing he loves more than winning. Mm-hmm. And you ought to see him out here when he gets to get a man in his mouth. He really, and we know he's not equipment happy because we had an incident just a couple of weeks ago. I think I showed on the video where Joe was he wearing a jacket?
Yeah.
He's wearing a jacket and he didn't put on his pants. And Scott out at Aries, and Aries decided he just went down and went straight for a kneecap.
Yeah,
It was-
he shifted to get him back on the bite, and he went under the sleeve, under
Yeah.
the jacket.
Under the jacket.
And I corrected him, but he almost got him
yeah.
in the groin.
And Aries wants to win. And
So-
yeah, you don't have to worry about sleeve happy dogs when you do this
So
sort of stuff.
people say, touch on that. Don't touch my dog. Don't have any contact. Part of the confidence building of a puppy is getting him into situations where different people, different size people, different people coming up to him, and that'll spook a dog.
Yeah.
Now there are times where if I'm working my dog and I'm actually working on a heel where he's forging ahead, or not, I'll put the vest on and I'll tag it, do not pet. And most people nowadays will ask to
Right.
pet your dog. If you're working your dog, and most people won't come up and pet your pet.
Yeah.
There's times and you start them off and you do it isolation and you get them out into public to distractions. The store's a good place to do it.
Yeah.
Doing heel or whatnot and doing that, well, that's different. But when you're just going out into public, I'll take my dog to the store every day. If he goes to walking, you don't go walking, we go to the Kroger's. They love him at Kroger's, and I'll just let him go walk in Kroger's, and we're just walking around. And he's meeting people.
Yeah.
He's getting better. I want him to be social. Can I pet your dog? You know what I tell him? If he wants you to, it's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
It's up to him.
Ask him.
Right? But he comes and pets him. He's very docile. But on the other hand, get that command out, and he'll turn 50, 60 degrees and be ready to eat somebody.
And,
But overall, I want him to be going public, and he's not a detriment to society. He's an asset.
right, right. And this is I believe when you start them as pups, you make it part of their upbringing. Now, when they hit puberty, when they get through puberty, you've got a dog who, for all intents and purposes, I mean, you can go on a sports field and he'll score 99 out of 100 probably on all the bite work. It'll impress the heck out of everybody. But in real life, he still might, if threatened, he still might choose the flight over the fight because it's a new threat, right? Somebody really different that he's never seen, somebody really huge. So at some point, for more reasons than just that, you need to work in defense. You've got to take your dog, if you want him to be a true protection dog or a guard dog, you've got to know that when the stuff hits the fan, this dog's going to have your back. So with real threats and real stress, is he going to stick the fight? The beauty of starting young, you've built up his confidence, so he's won every time. It's no different than the way you train any human athlete. You don't take a young boxer and put him, y'all hear me say this 1,000 times, you don't put him in a ring with Mike Tyson for his first round, right? You get somebody, you give him some easy ones, he starts building his confidence, getting more up and more up, until you finally put him up with somebody who's put where they act automatically with greater fight every time if you'll build their confidence 6 months of their life and then start adding measured stress
There you go. Perfect.
from an opponent.
Right.
And when we train our dogs in bite work, that guy's not a decoy. When we start them with later, when they actually hit to this point, that man becomes that dog's opponent. And our dogs don't go through the motions because they've been kicked into prey drive, because they go into motion because they want to kick your butt. Period.
I love the praise drivers. Are you kidding? All right. Hi.
There's a little problems we're trying. Our signal sending mechanisms quit us because we've used them for 18 months, which apparently is as long as Google wants you to use them,
Yeah.
so they can sell you another one. And we've ordered another one, so this won't be happening next week.
So, we're talking about getting these dogs started. It's not just using flirt poles and tugs. It's actually taking your dog out and socializing it and showing it different things. That won't phase it. So when the time does come for it to act, he won't be distracted or scared of something else, or he'll be ready to go no matter what's around him.
Yep.
And that, and like I always say this, it doesn't happen overnight, people. It takes time, you know, to get to a point where you need a dog to be, and that goes with anything else.
Yeah.
Dog jumping, anything. But if you got to put the time in with your puppies, we'll always talk about a few minutes a day to do this and a few minutes a day to do that. Well, I believe that them puppies need more than a few minutes a day. When you commit to that dog, you start shaping that dog and start getting that dog to come out and see his characteristic and his personality starts coming out, and you can start working with that and get that dog to trust you. That's the biggest thing. Get that dog to trust you, build a bond. And when you do come out and work with the floor pull, that dog knows you're behind him and he's going to have fun, not think about twice. Look back at you and see if it's okay to go bite it. He'll just go out and get it because he knows you got his back.
Yep. And since we're starting to lose signal, I'm going to go ahead and say this one real quick. We'll call it a short night. We got some Western Shepherd pups on the ground. If you're interested, give me a call. But we've also got the breeding probably of the decade due August 2nd.
Uh-oh.
So we are taking the list right now. I know you all know Black Bart. You can find
We're going to have it on pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Is it possible to train a 3-year-old for protection?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm glad you asked that. Here's what happens with a lot of these older dogs that people, they go to the trainers that are just used to prey drive. Older dogs understand threats and they've already got their fears ingrained in them. So they go to a guy who maybe jumps up and down, he wiggles a sack, and the dog can have two, three reactions. One, well, what's going on here? I never seen anyone act like that. He's crazy. And the other one is, you're stupid. I'm just going to ignore you.
Yep.
And then the trainer will tell you, well, your dog ain't got no prey drive. He can't do it. And I can take the same dog. In fact, I'll tell you a story about one I did that to years ago. Not now. You can take the same dog, and what you're going to do with an older dog, if you start to train him and you're having trouble, tell whoever's training. With older dogs, many times you need to start them off defensively. So you need to use the old Kohler method, the Kohler style, which is get the dog suspicious. You got to get him suspicious. You're not going to push him. You're not going to flank him, twist his, any of that old-fashioned nonsense. But if you'll go to a defensive tact when you start the dog off, if he's a 3-year-old, you're a lot of times more successful. And once you get them started that way, they're going to come along quicker and faster than any prey dog ever will. They'll be the real deal in half the time of prey-driven dogs. So yes, definitely can train a 3-year-old dog.
Yep.
Anything else anybody got?
No, sir. That's it.
That's it. What do you think, Scott?
Well, I think if you build friendship, build a bond, have fun, start training your dog, it'll be a good thing. And it's all about